Without accountability, without the enforcement of understood law, without penalty for unacceptable behavior, our community crumbles and security is absent. In summation, chaos rules where justice fails. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 1, a Torah portion, Shophtim. In this portion, we're going to look at the 4 offices of leadership that Yah has given to Am Israel. We're going to look at the judges, who are the judicial and legislative branch, the kings, who are the executive branch, the high priest, who is the ritual branch, and the prophet, who is the spiritual branch. Now, in America, we have this rugged, individualistic, fierce, independent mindset. And we struggle enough at times with the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of our American government. And then to add to that the role of a prophet, we may have some mental problems. We may have a feeling of being rubbed against the grain just a bit. But again, we're not talking about American and Westernized society. We're talking about a Torah-based society, which obviously America in large part is not. In a Torah-based society, the goal is to bring the revelation of Yahweh and the identity of the Messiah not only to the nation of Am Israel, but to the nations. It's not enough for you and I just to know who he is. We need to reveal him to the environment that is around us. We are to infuse our given environment and our sphere of personal influence with the Torah and all that the Torah contains, including revelation and identity. We are to reveal truth, we are to reveal righteousness, and we are to reveal justice. Truth and righteousness we often talk about. But Torah is the vehicle that Yah has given that we might see genuine justice take place in the earth, as is described in his word. And so to aid us in this effort, we are being given these roles of leadership. Now, just a quick aside here. Be careful when you're praying that a situation that has gone wrong. Be careful about crying out for justice, as in, Father, give me justice. If the Father were to give us justice, who would be the one punished? Someone else, or would we not be deserving ourselves? Just a thought. Now, the idea of having someone and this level of authority over us should not give us the idea of a tyrannical dictator. Yah is not asking for someone to ram the Torah down our throats as ISIS would or Islam would Sharia law. Again, the goal of the Torah is to reveal the Messiah and aid you and I in walking and living a righteous life. And the first area of authority is located in our minds, which is to then govern over our heart. We are not allowed or should not allow ourselves to be governed by our feelings, by our emotions, by our perspectives, by our preferences, or by our reasonings. These things, they're attributed more to our personality, more to the fleshly side of us than discernment, having wisdom and knowledge, gaining understanding through the Word, being led of the Spirit. If I'm living by my emotions, my feelings, my personal reasonings, then I'm being led by flesh, not the Ruach HaKodesh. And so we need to develop then the mind, the character, the heart, the perspective, the personality of Yeshua the Messiah. Rav Shaul writes that we should have this mind in us that was also in Messiah Yeshua. Otherwise, we're going to live by what we think to be true rather than we have learned to know that is true. You have to be willing to judge yourselves. Yeshua taught us that if you will judge yourselves, you will not be judged. If we fail to judge ourselves, someone else will. The opening phrase is Shophtim v'Shotrim. These words sound very similar. They have a similar application, but they're two different offices. Shophtim references the judges. Shotrim, however, the best word that I know of is something like a sheriff. Now, I will agree with you, I'm not excited about the idea of a Torah sheriff walking around with a badge, a whistle, and a ticket book, looking for violators of their preferred version of what Torah is supposed to be. The last thing you and I need in the Hebraic roots community is a Barney Fife writing us a ticket, or even worse, a Gomer running after us hollering, "Citizens arrest!" None of us want that. None of us are excited about that. So what is the practical application of such a role? If we fail at the Torah and it violates the rights or the standing of someone else, we will be brought before the Shophtim, that is, the judge. A Shotrim, however, the sheriff, is more like, in practical application, a shepherd. Someone who is willing to sit down with us and show us gently, with mercy and with encouragement, yet clearly defining the boundaries, how that we are to walk out the Torah. We see someone come to our congregation, we hand them a shofar and a prayer shawl, a talit. We teach them how to tie their tzitzit, and we expect them to know everything. To show up at Shabbat, shut up and pay attention, you'll get it. Sadly, what we end up with is people that are as lost sitting in our congregations as they were on a pew somewhere. Yah is looking for sheriffs, shepherds, shotrim, to be willing to patiently sit down with one or a small handful and gently go through the Torah and show where application to our daily life can be made by the insights that we receive in the Torah's reading and study. There should also be then a revelation of Messiah Yeshua, who will stand up in the pages of each Torah portion and be revealed to us. We should find that the heart and the character of Yahweh, our Creator, our Heavenly Father, is not one of a tyrannical despot whose default attitude toward us is that of wrath and judgment, but rather one who shows mercy and loving kindness and great patience and is willing to forgive and has given to us the covenant and made himself the one who bears the penalty for our failings. That's not normally taught, but that's the one that people need to learn. And so a sheriff would find one not really applying. They would go make the understanding known, this isn't right. What you're doing is not the correct thing. Reproof, even rebuke, almost can't say the word, gently correcting and guiding, not slamming the fist, yelling, screaming, demanding, and casting someone outside because they didn't do it to your own specifications. Yah is looking to bring right judgment and leadership to this body. We have rebelled, we have rejected, we have argued, we have slandered, we have maligned, and we have accused. None of those things have gotten us anywhere that is positive. What we need is a gentle heart, a correcting word, wisdom, a sense of understanding, a sense of patience, a sense of preferring our brother over ourselves, exhibiting the love and the mercy of Yeshua, defining the boundaries, and helping others to walk within them. The goal is to build the body of Messiah that looks like Messiah. We'll talk more about these things later in the week. Until then, shalom.